SBR subscribers, welcome. It is the right side of campus. As always, Friday, 12:30 Eastern. I am the big man on campus, your host, joined by my co-host, Donnie Right Side. Donnie, big day today. Lot to do this weekend, and we talked about it all week. Great week of sports, great weekend of sports coming. You got the NFL draft, you got Major League Baseball, you got the NBA playoffs, you got the NHL playoffs if you're into that, you got EPL and all this soccer overseas if you're interested in that. Plenty of stuff to talk about. How you doing today? It's Friday. It feels like we were just on the air. We were on the air about 12 hours ago. Now we're back. Another day, another dollar. Welcome in, Donnie Right Side.
Yeah, two late shows last night. Did a quick recap of the first 12 to 13 picks in the NFL. Then we went on late night and described the rest of the draft. It was a lot of fun, Jeff. I know you're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. The NFL and football, when it takes center stage, it's a lot of fun. And especially, Jeff, being right in our back door with the draft in Philadelphia, it's a lot of fun. It's another beautiful day up here in the Northeast. So big crowd's going to be expected. Draft getting underway again, Jeff, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. As you know, folks out there on SBR, we're going to be back on tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the late night on campus. That's when we're really going to get into the draft, recap everything that went on during the day. Also, Jeff, as you pointed out, there's a big card today, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. We'll talk about that as well tonight on the late night of campus. But I know the people come here today for breakdowns and plays at this time. Baseball is the number one thing on the docket for us.
Yeah, and welcome into everyone out there listening. This show most of the shows during the day get very good rapport, very good listen. So thank you to everyone out there listening, all the regulars. We appreciate the kind words and appreciate you guys that enjoy the show. So let's jump into everything. As always, we will break down every Major League Baseball game on the card today. Donnie Right Side will host that, and I will give a pick for every game. We'll also go over the NBA playoffs and just a few nuggets on what to look forward to in the draft. I've mentioned, Donnie, to you, I know both of us are into the draft. I really like the draft. I like both drafts, not only this one, but the NBA draft. Yeah. So, for me, and I want to put this out there to everyone, I am going to begin writing some stuff for SBR in the next few days here. I worked on kind of a small piece I put together yesterday, kind of to show everyone, the big brass at SBR, that I can actually write. Donnie, I can actually write. If you might not believe that. Many might not believe that I actually know how to do anything other than.
Yeah, I just started learning how to use a computer, so you're way ahead of me already.
So yeah, I'm putting some articles together. Hopefully, I can get like a column, kind of like a big man bulletin every day, just kind of my thoughts and my opinions, and they're giving me carte blanche to write about whatever I want. So again, I won't offend anyone, but it should be fun. So a lot to look forward to for me. Let's jump into the card, Donnie. Where are we going to start it out today?
Yeah, we're going to start with baseball. Just to make one comment there, I know we get a lot of love there on the live chat. We appreciate it. It's really about the audience that we have that drives the show and keeps it involved. And the one thing I see a lot of times there, Jeff, on the chat box is people say they like the information coming from our show. Whether or not we put a hardcore stamp on a game or not, our objective here for you guys as the bettors is hopefully to make you a smarter bettor, give you more information to work with, and maybe we tip you off in the right direction that you weren't thinking about. That's what we're going to do today in baseball. That's what we do each and every day, Jeff. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this baseball card.
Real quick, somebody made a funny comment. Rich made a comment. I love how big man keeps his house clean.
Man.
I'm obsessed with cleanliness. And it's interesting because I'm really like beyond obsessed with like staying clean and like keep my house clean. You wonder how I'm overweight because like I'm like obsessive with some of this stuff. But yeah, someday I'll give you a tour of my abode here. And yes, I do vacuum every day. I pledge every day. I do all that. I need the pillows on the couch the right way. I make my bed. I'm very clean, but I do have a cleaning lady. She comes in every 2 weeks.
Yeah, one of these shows, we're going to have to get you back there whipping it up in the background now, making up something for lunch while we're on the air and doing sports. That's multitasking that we need.
Well, that wouldn't be that interesting, though, because I'm not a real cook or anything. So I would have to get something together. I can whip something up. Yep, we'll keep it going. So let's jump into it, Donnie. Where are we going to start it?
Yep. Once again, follow us on at SBR Sports Picks. Let's get this underway. We're going to keep it right to the rotation that goes directly down. As usual, sometimes on Thursday or Wednesday action, big man knows that we have some day shows. Some day game action, which we don't have today. So let's go right down. First game we're going to pick up, Tyone versus Connolly. That's Pittsburgh rotation on your sports betting link at 9:01, 9:02. Early betting indicator indicators here, Jeff. Pittsburgh at 55% of the tickets and drawing most of the money here, Jeff, at 73%. Total opened up at 7.5. Looks like it's staying pretty much across the board and not too much movement yet. Opened up at Pinnacle at minus 106, Jeff. Looks like it's hovering at minus 109. Sportsbook at minus 109, the Greek at minus 105 here at SBRodds.com. If we take a look at a little bit of nugget information here, both of these starters, Jeff, have been very good to start the year. Pittsburgh, 3-6 on the road, still haven't turned that on yet. Miami, 4-2 at home. And you say, wow, they only played 6 games so far. They just came off a lengthy road trip, so definitely looking to get home and getting those bats cooking here, Jeff. Thoughts on this Pittsburgh-Miami game looking at it here?
Yeah, it's good to be back at home for the Miami Marlins. They've lost 4 of 6 on the road. Like you said, a pretty lengthy road trip. I, in all sports, Donnie, am not a big fan of backing a team in their first game off of a road trip. I do not like that in any sport, particularly in the NBA. The reasoning behind that, Donnie, especially in Miami, young kids, young players, you come home off a road trip, you have a lot to worry about. You have your home to worry about, your family, the girl on the side that you got to pay for. There's plenty to worry about. It's an angle in sports that I'm not a big fan of backing. I don't like teams off road trips coming home. For me, though, Donnie, I'd almost look under the total in this game. Pitchers who, particularly in Conley, you're not a big fan of, you kind of worry, but Conley's actually been very good this year. So is Tyone. I'm a big fan of his. And you look at this series, 11 of 14 have stayed under the posted total. I like the under here. This Pittsburgh team has really struggled to maintain offensive consistency on the road. I go under 7.5 in this game. I'm not going to probably bet this one. I'm not a huge fan of this game, just because I do like the Marlins offense, but I could see this one like 4-2, maybe even 4-3. I think that hook's going to be important. I would go under if I had to play this game.
Yeah, early indicators when you look at this game, Jeff, to me, we know how Miami's a pretty good baseball team, pretty good offensive team. Tyone's been fantastic to start, but Pittsburgh, again, a couple nice games that they've had. You're getting a real cheap price here at home. Basically, a pick 'em here with the Marlins if you like to factor in like home versus away and type teams. But I agree with you. You had your eyes on big man Jameson Tyone, very early in the season. He's lived up to it so far. Yeah,
he hasn't allowed a run on the road. He's kind of living by fire here. He has had base runners that he doesn't have that .80 whip. He does have some base runners. He's given up, 12 hits over 14 road innings, but he's getting out unscathed. One thing you also have to like about with this under, both bullpens have been pretty good for the most part. I know the Marlins can struggle, but both these ERA, as far as a home road splits, under 3, which is pretty good right now at the state of bullpens. Tyone's I'm a fan of. I like this kid a lot. He has a nice future with this team. As far as the side's concerned, that's a really tough call, Jay. I wouldn't have much for you on that. I think this is pretty much again, Marlins at home are intriguing, but I'm just not a fan of a team off a road trip.
Yeah, this game actually is not on my board. I have about a half dozen games that I'm going to take a look at once the lineups come out, but some numbers that I like. This is not one of them. Really cut and dry right through the middle. It's everything that I don't like, road team that struggles, home team that's pretty good in that effect, but we'll get to some games where I can really pick out. Yeah.
That's a funny thing. Horse Racing Exchange making one of the funnier points I've ever seen on these chat boxes.
Go ahead. What do you got?
He said, "You're not overweight, big man. You're just full of knowledge."
Exactly, man. Hey.
It's pretty funny, dude. I have to admit. I might
like a big sponge over there.
The next time my father gets on me, because my dad is in the best shape you'd ever see, possibly. I'll have to tell him, Dad, listen, I'm not overweight. I'm just full of knowledge, man.
Yeah, hey, that's
funny. I got to tell my doctor one. He'll
always the way to play. That'll be your tagline on Twitter coming up there with a hashtag.
If you don't mind horse racing, I might actually use that. If you don't mind, let me know if you have a problem with that. And if it gets big, I'll pay you for that trademark. I'm gonna get that. I like that.
Next up here on the docket, rotation 903, 904, DeGrom, Scherzer on the outset. This looks like a fantastic pitching matchup. Early indicators as usual here, though, Jeff. Always going to lean towards Washington, especially the way they're playing. 75% of the tickets and 71% of the money coming in heavy on Washington. Line opened up. It's not a bargain. Minus 150. Has since jumped to Chris at minus 171. Sportsbook.com, minus 168. 5 dimes at minus 163 here at SBRodds.com. A little bit of nuggets to take a look at. Both of these starters have been very good to start the season. The Mets only 3-9 after a loss, so they don't bounce back very well. Nationals 6-3 at home, 16-5, Jeff, versus right-handed pitching, and 9-4 versus a team with a losing record. So definitely beating up on the bottom feeders in Major League Baseball. That looks like what you have here. Jeff, I know you're not a big fan of the Mets. They're even more banged up than they possibly could be, both pitching and hitting-wise, going on the road to Washington, who's killing the baseball, coming back home for this game. Doesn't set up too well with the New York Mets. And from all indicators, betting perspective and also line perspective, it's telling me this is a Washington line here.
Yeah, when I did this, I do notes for every game. When I did these notes, this line was minus 155. I'm seeing some books it's up to 180, 190. This is definitely a Washington line. At 155, I thought it was still a fairly nice price for Max Scherzer against the Mets. I hate the Mets. I made that clear. This team has lost 10 of 11. They're hitting 209 as a club. And listen, it's not going to get any better for the Mets. Noah Syndergaard's out for a long period of time. Scherzer's, or not Scherzer, DeGrom's really your only capable guy. I guess you have Harvey as well.
Yeah, Harvey got lit yesterday. Looks like his velocity was down early on in that start.
Right.
Yeah.
But Wheeler, Robert Selman, I mean, this is other than, Harvey and DeGrom, this is really a shitty rotation. They have a bad bullpen. And look, their lineup speaks for itself. This Washington team, I'm not interested in stepping in front of. They've won 10 of 11. They're absolutely raking the ball. They are off a road trip out in Coors, a lot of travel, but they're back at home, a place that they've been really fantastic in. I would put this in a parlay with something else, which maybe I'll foreshadow to the end of the show with some picks that I'll give out. But yeah, the Mets I have no interest in. Even at this price, I'm just not enticed with DeGrom. I don't really look at him the way I used to. I thought he was more of like a shutdown guy, but he's really kind of turned me off. It's probably not fair to him, but this lineup just doesn't do anything for me. I don't like their bullpen. At any rate, I just don't like the Mets. But as far as parlay, someone's asking about Sean Childress.
I was just going to say that, Jeff. How many times? I mean, they're all different subscribers and users out there. Ask us about round robins and parlays. I mean, go ahead, big man. Explain.
Yeah, round robins I do not do. I've never done. Parlays, I stick to two teams. And it's not often I do them. I'm almost always looking for minus 130 or less favorites or an underdog or a run line. But when I have a team like Washington who has a poor bullpen, has issues closing games out, I will look to maybe throw them in a parlay with another team. When you're getting a team at minus 160 and pairing it with maybe another team that's 180 or 190, you're going to get a positive price back. You're going to get plus 130, plus 140. That's what I look to do. It's been pretty successful. You look at last night, Donnie, a prime example. If you parlayed the Cleveland Indians and Arizona Diamondbacks, two spots that were heavy prices, you parlay them together, got the job done, and you made money back. So for me, I definitely don't go anything above two teams. And I don't parlay like spreads and stuff like that. It's two teams with under 220 money lines a lot of the time, getting a positive price back. If I'm not getting a positive price back, I do not do parlays. I'm not in this to fantasize about 30-1 par. I don't care about that. I might do it once in a while on a big Saturday in college basketball or something. But as far as for me, I do stuff that are a lot of the time positive expectations back.
Yeah, when I go over parlays, we've talked about in the past, I use parlays primarily as a hedging option where if you get the first two and you have the last one on there, you might be able to automatically get some plus money back. I don't believe it, like Jeff said, the same thing. I mean, it might be fun to go out to Las Vegas or your local, horse track, especially Delaware Park, where, have a 10-tame parlay card, throw down $10, see what happens.
And you can only bet parlay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's kind of something about sports betting in this country that's kind of drab. Like they say Delaware sports betting is legal, but it is to a point. You can only bet parlays. You can't
Robbery.
bet. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's easy money. You can't go in there and bet on the Marlins today. You can't do it. I've gotten also a lot of Donnie questions about where to find bullpen numbers and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
There are some really good sites as far as data is concerned. If you're more of a Fangraphs person, Fangraphs.com, team rankings, kind of ranks literally every component of baseball, whether you want opponent pitching, team fielding, walks per nine, any kind of information, team rankings. As far as bullpen, I will admit I keep a list of my 1 to 30 bullpens. I have bullpens that I stay on, and I just don't want to bet on. So it's really just kind of getting a list together. Email me, the big man on campus, 215@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter. I can help you out as far as bullpens are concerned. Let's move to the next one, Donnie. Brewers, Atlanta.
Yep, on the rotation, 905, 906. I know Jeff's going to be heavily involved in this one, but I have a possible false flag in this one, which I know Jeff is going to love this. Cologne Anderson on the mound, early betting indicators, only 24% of the tickets, Jeff, here, coming in on Atlanta, and 37% of the money, so you have a nice betting difference there. 75% obviously on Milwaukee. Line opened up at -123 on Pinnacle, currently sitting there at Chris, -28, -125, -125 at 5 times. Also some early just some numbers you want to take a look at. Bartolo Colon, very pedestrian. I mean, especially for the NL, 4.50 ERA through 4 starts. Anderson, 1.13 sparkling ERA through his 4. Atlanta, 7-12 versus right-handed pitching. Very pedestrian team. But Milwaukee, only 6-8 at home. We know Milwaukee, Jeff, here brings the bats. Bartolo Colon, this isn't, Thor out there coming with a 98-mile-an-hour, 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a changeup at 91 or whatever it is. This is smoke and mirrors. You get what you get. If I'm missing my spots with Bartolo Colon, it could be ugly. But one of those things out there that just gives me pause is, why is so much money on Milwaukee and that line really not moving yet? I'm going to take a look at this one a little bit later once we see some lineups coming out. But I have a nice little false flag on this game that I'm going to take a look at. Well, big man, your thoughts?
I mean, I still think it's fairly early, Donnie, in the day as far as –
way early in the day.
Yeah, I mean, if this number's going to move – I mean, look, if it's 6:30 and this number's still the same place,
exactly,
then that would be concerning. But, look, I mean, the line makes sense. I mean, Chase Anderson's not a household name by any means. The Brewers, listen, other than Eric Thames, have not been household names either. I think we're still – again, I mean, for as good as the Brewers have been, Donnie, they're still only 12-11. So, I mean, they've been very good, but we've talked about it. Eric Thames, 11 home runs, but only 18 RBIs. Listen, I mean, Atlanta's Atlanta. They don't win on the road. Look, if I'm going to back Atlanta, I'll tell you, I'm higher on Atlanta than most people. I'm not high, though, on Bartolo Colon. The problem you have now, and I'll continue to say it again, Bartolo Colon could lean on a bullpen last year. He does not have that in Atlanta. Atlanta's biggest issue is their bullpen. An ERA on the road of over 5 as a group. This Milwaukee team's won 3 in a row. They're kind of back on track a little bit. They're scoring a ton of runs, which we know about. Atlanta, for me, is a fade on the road. And with Cologne, they're even bigger fade. Chase Anderson's been fantastic. Look, I hear what you're saying about Atlanta, but I think we all have to agree that on the road, they're just not very good. You add in Cologne, that makes it even better. I'm going to get this line now. If it goes up, and I get screwed, okay, that's fine. But I can look at this bet and say, you know what, I think I was on the right side here. I don't think this is as glaring as you might think. I'm going to go with Milwaukee here and feel pretty confident in doing so. I like Chase Anderson. I think he has a good night tonight. And Cologne, again, is embarrassed.
Yeah, on the chat box, Connor May says, "What's up, Donnie and Right Side?" There you go, Jeff. You're Donnie today. That's hilarious. That's great.
I guess I am.
Eric Thames, possible injury in this one, big man, and also Brandon Phillips. So I don't really know how much Brandon Phillips factors in, but you know
Brandon
how everybody's
Phillips
early
factors
season
in a lot, Donnie. He's been fantastic this year so far.
Has he?
He has.
Every time I keep on betting on the Atlanta Braves or checking in, it seems like he's grounding into a.
You know what? It's funny you say that, actually, because I have a fantasy team, Donnie, and I drafted Jason Kipnis just because I was getting value with him being injured, and I got him. I got Ian Kinsler also, but I got to tell you, Brandon Phillips has been my starting second baseman for a number of weeks. He's been really good, but he's injured now, and that's really going to hurt the Braves. As far as the Brewers are concerned, I disagree completely with one of the listeners there saying that the Brewers really don't have anything other than Eric Thames. They do have VR. They have Travis Shaw, who's been good so far. They also have 2 catchers that are probably the 2 best hitting catchers in the league, in Bandy and Manny Pina. So they have Ryan Braun as well. I think they're better than people think. And they have Keon Broxton, not Byron Buxton, which is important. Byron Buxton's a mess. So I like a little bit more Milwaukee than maybe others. So I'm going to go Milwaukee in this spot.
There you go. Next game up on the rotation, 9:07, 9:08, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get right into this. Another game that I do have circled for a little bit later, just based on some line movement early. Edelman versus Lynn, 35% of the tickets backing Cincinnati on the road, but 60% of the money. Line opened up at Pinnacle at -148, has backtracked a little bit to -144. 5 dimes currently out there with SBRodds.com at -145 to get a little bit of snippets on this game. Edelman, 1 start, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Both of those earned runs, Jeff, by the long fly ball. Lynn has had 4 starts and has been very good. ERA under 3, to be exact, about 2.70. Cincinnati, get this, Jeff, one of these betting numbers that finally start to pop its head there. I don't take too much into it, but it's always interesting to read. 4-0, Jeff, as a dog when the number is +125 to +175. St. Louis, 7-5 at home, and it certainly didn't help yesterday. Or excuse me, certainly didn't hamper them with a doubleheader sweep over Toronto as well.
Yeah, St. Louis is playing really well, Donnie, right now. And they won 5 of 7. They're hitting the baseball finally. Am I crazy, though, about laying 150 with them? Not really. I'm not a big fan of St. Louis. I don't really ever seem to get them right. But, Donnie, Cincinnati has fallen back to Cincinnati. They've lost 6 of 7. They're really struggling. Their pitching's been an awful mess. And I think we all agreed. I mean, that would come back to haunt them. I mean, they had a week or two where they were really good. But, I mean, it's Cincinnati, for Christ's sakes, at the end of the day. They've given up almost 8 runs a game over the last 7. They're not hitting the baseball right now. And, you know, their pitching's gotten just roped, like I said. Lynn has been really good to start the season, which you mentioned. I agree with what you're saying, but I got to be honest. I think this number is right where it should be. I don't think if they threw 120 out at you, then maybe, but I think 150 is fair here, Donnie. I mean, especially with the way St. Louis has played. Only since recently have they looked good. And again, don't believe in St. Louis just yet. This team seems to just go in lulls offensively. I don't think it's here. Edelman, to me, is not a starter in this league. Again, though, he's on the red, so he will. Yeah, I would lean St. Louis, but it's not a game that I think has tremendous value. I think the line's right where it should.
And you get a couple people looking at some contrarian value here, Jeff, figuring that St. Louis did have a doubleheader yesterday, going to exhaust some bullpen. You know, a lot of people played a lot of innings, so sometimes that does factor in. So just another angle that you might want to take a look at if you're going to lay that number with a favorite. Just some food for thought there.
I mean, Lance Lynn is a lefty. He is a guy that, you know, for the most part, you know, I wouldn't say, as a whole, he goes about 6 innings. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to need the bullpen here. But look, again,
I'm going to keep my eye on that game. So we'll see how it goes.
I wouldn't care either way. I'm not particularly high. Shun Childress. I hit a 12-team parlay in Bovada.
Did they pay you?
I mean, how much money did you spend into parlays before you hit that big thing? Listen, I won't lie to you.
23 large. Now, let me ask you a question on that.
That's a great score, but I mean, first of all, it's a good question by Donnie. Did they pay you? And second of all,
how do you cash that 23 grand at the bank that says Bovado on the check? That a tough one to get through.
Right. The thing with like parlays, it's a lot like a lottery ticket, Donnie. I remember when I was in high school, I worked at a convenience store near my school, and I remember these people come in, these older people. They come in and they would play $300-$400 a week in lottery tickets.
Yes.
They come back on Saturday and hit a ticket for $100, and they're all over the place. They're so happy. You can't believe it. They hit it for $100. But I'm thinking to myself, you put in 300 to hit the 100. I mean, why are we so quick to be all excited about it? Listen, they're alluring for sure, but listen, for me, I struggle to hit game. It's hard to hit one game, let alone 10. So, look, good luck. But for me, I think you will struggle long term with that way of thinking. Next
one up on the docket, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rotation 909, 910. Coors looks like it comes to the new Coors today. What I mean by that, that's the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Early betting numbers, 45%. Back in Colorado here, line opened up at 148. Is going up a little bit here, big man. 5 dimes has it up to 151. The interesting thing here is we've seen numbers that are opening up now at Chase Field. Is it still Chase Field out there?
Yes.
Bank One Ballpark, Chase Field. Opening up 10, 10.5. You have one that opened up 10 today and dipped back a little bit there. You have 9 at Pinnacle, 9.5 at Chris, 9.5 at Sportsbook.com. The one interesting thing you have here is some sort of a pitching matchup is what maybe figure into this one. 332 for Freeland on the year ERA-wise. Robbie Ray at 342. The Rockies seemingly seemingly glad, Jeff, to get out of Coors Field, giving up as a pitching staff 15, 11, and 16 runs, that is.
Yeah, that's
and 6 and 2. It's unbelievable. Like, you had it at Coors Field, even games that were like 2-0 in the fifth inning, we're ending up with double digits against them, both on their starters and on their bullpen. Arizona, again, Jeff, we're not going to ignore this number, 11-3 at home. They just play well at home. But an interesting matchup here, pitching-wise here, versus what these two offenses can handle. One team sensational at home, one team very good on the road. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, you give me this Rockies team, like you said, gave up 42 runs over the last 3 games, and they obviously lost all 3 of them. Listen, I'm going to come out and say it. I know a lot of people, particularly at SBR, are very high on this Colorado Rockies team. I'm not. I don't think they're really anything to talk about. Their pitching's awful. Their bullpen sucks, and they play in a stadium that's very hard to keep leads in. Look, their lineup's good, but it's also struggled a lot as well. I would go over in this game. I know I'm going to maybe think people think I'm crazy, but I mean, Robbie Ray has really struggled in his career against the Colorado Rockies. He's an ERA over 5 in 7 starts. I think Freeland's a guy that, you look at the Arizona Diamondbacks, you talked about it, 7 runs a game at home, hitting over 300. They've been fantastic in Chase Field. 25 of 36 in this series have gone over the posted total with 2 bullpens that struggle. I think we see some runs in this game. I think Ray, has been pretty good over the season to start here, but has really bad numbers against Colorado. I think Freeland will get lit up as well. I think this is a 6-5 type of game. You look at some of these prices now with Arizona starting to lose their luster a little bit. But I will say this, please don't fall into the trap of betting Arizona on the run line. I know it's something that looks good with that lineup, but they are not a good bullpen. And if you want, I'll gladly send any of you the write-up I did on the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen. Don't fall into the trap of that luster of, well, they score a lot of runs, so they'll be fine. The bullpen sucks at the end of the day. Just lay the number a lot of time. Maybe throw this in a parlay. It would be a nice play with maybe the Nationals. But I like the over 9 here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I know these starting pitchers on paper look good, but both of these offenses can rake. And, it might as well be Coors Field down there with Arizona, the way the ball's popping down there. If that roof is closed again, which 99% of the games, it seems like it's closed there anyway. So look for another high-scoring affair, one would think, but with the pitching numbers that actually are coming into this do show that it should dip under there. It's crazy that you're getting these type of numbers outside of Coors Field. Like, usually a high over-under would be like Texas at 9.5, but now you got a National League team, which you have 2 pitchers batting, that's popping up in the 10s and 10.5. So I just think that's kind of an interesting thing to look at. Yeah,
but I think here's the problem that you have. I think 9.5, they're goading you to take the under in this game. You see 2 lefties. You see Ray, who's been really good, but when you pull back the onion, he has been awful against the Colorado Rockies. Just not good. They've been kind of his bugaboo. His whip is high against this team. And this series, like I said, 25-11 to the over the last 3 seasons. These teams play a lot. Look, has Robbie Ray been good? Yeah, but at home he's been awful. 11 innings, he's given up 8 earned runs, and the over's 2-0 in those games. I think this is a GOAT play. I think it's telling you to take the under. But again, I think this is a 6-5, 7-6 type of game. I think this is high scoring, and then we'll get to the bullpens here.
Yeah, moving out to the West Coast, one of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball. Rewind our tapes, Jeff, about 2.5 weeks, and you could have gave me truth serum, and I didn't think this was going to be possible. Rotation 9-11, 9-12, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jared Eichhoff versus Kenta Maeda. 53% of the people backing the Philadelphia Phillies, who have won 6 games in a row. That's not a broken recording. 61% of the money actually coming in on Philadelphia. Line opened up here at 163. Am I reading that right? That now the Dodgers are at minus 188 with Kenta Maeda on the mound. This isn't exactly Clayton Kershaw or Zach Greinke of past years who have toted the rock there for the Dodgers. 4 starts for Eichhoff, 2.92 ERA. Kenta Maeda, 8.05 in his 4 starts. An interesting thing here in Los Angeles, you don't really get too many weather or wind conditions out there, but the wind today, Jeff's going to blow in from left field at 13 miles an hour. And the Dodgers, not a very good team once they get a victory, only 2-8 after a win. actually just surprised. And look at that. From opened up at 8, the total just dipped back down to 7.5 here on SBRodds.com. So maybe some sharps or some money is knocking that line down a little bit lower. But boy, the Dodgers at 188 here. Woo, man.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Donnie, I don't bet these kind of numbers, but I think this is the best play on the board as far as the Dodgers. I think they're in a fantastic spot here. Philadelphia Phillies have won 6 in a row. Played yesterday during the day. Got to travel across the country over to L.A. I mean, and you get a pitcher who has no business laying this kind of number. Here's the problem, though, with Kenta Maeda, and I'm going to say this, but he has visibly said through a translator his confidence is shaken. That's not good for a pitcher. He's had some command issues. But one thing you have to know about Maeda, I still think he's a good pitcher at the end of the day. And we all know the Phillies lineup isn't particularly good. They've been a bad road team. They're only hitting 223 on the road. Like I said, across the country. I also look at this stat, Donnie. It's something that I've always looked at with Clayton Kershaw over the years in this Dodger team. Over the last 3 years at home, they're a favorite a lot at this price. 175, 200, 250. Over the last 3 years, they're 39-18 to the number as a home favorite of 175 to 250. So that means that, again, they are winning these kind of games. It's a big price. Again, this would be another parlay component, but I think the people are high on the Phillies right now, low on Maeda. But at the end of the day, this is a bad spot for the Philadelphia Phillies. I just don't think going across the country hot, I think it's going to cool them down. I think Maeda is going to get back on track tonight. I could see one of those 7 innings, 3-hit type of games, and you hand it to one of the best bullpens in the National League, a home ERA of 1.34. I don't lay this kind of price, so it won't be on my card, but I think the Dodgers are the best side tonight as far as.
Kind of interesting, though. I mean, Eichhoff is no slouch. I mean, a lot of people don't know him. If you look at it, like his last dozen starts.
Yeah, but they don't give him runs.
6. But, I mean, if you look at the way the Dodgers have been struggling a bit here, you're taking Eichhoff. I mean, this is dozen starts, 3 earned runs, 2, 0, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. I mean, he's going to keep them in the ball game. And the one thing that does make you a little bit leery with Maeda is you're right. Look at his last 4 starts, 5 innings, 3 earned, 5 innings, 4 earned, 4 innings, 4 earned, 5 innings, 6 earned, progressively getting worse with a monster number here. It's kind of interesting. I don't like to bet these type of ball games. You know, anything above like 150, 160, I don't really believe in taking the favorite. And I don't really like taking the underdog because it's showing they technically don't have that much of a great chance of winning, especially being a road team. But just some food for thought. Eichhoff, to me, is going to keep them in this ball game. And if you get bad Maeda, you might be looking at 4 or 5 runs the Phillies stack up on him before he's even out of the game. It's an interesting one to look at. I just don't believe that line should be nearly that high with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, but here's the problem with Jared Eichhoff. 4 games, a big goose egg in the win column. They don't give him any run support. I mean, they only score about 3 runs a game for him. That's not good enough. And listen, I'm just not a fan of betting against the Dodgers in, Candlestick or whatever they call this now. What Chavez Ravine? I'm not
Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium.
I'm not a fan of betting against him there. Eichhoff's been good, but I just don't like this spot. It's a bad spot for Phillies, if you ask me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But that will be a late night game, and certainly we'll be on the air at that point. We'll be able to go over and shoot it back and forth to see what happens here. Let's keep it going there on the left coast, Jeff. 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Perdomo and the Sharks, Samardzija, 31% of the money, 31% of the tickets, Jeff, coming in on San Diego, 77% of the money, however, showering the Padres as opposed to San Francisco. But here we go. Line opens up at -155. Despite not getting a lot of money here, San Francisco line is moving up, -166 at Chris, -164 at 5 dimes. On the outset, Jeff, when you just look at this game, being a gambler, just a fan, it looks like a dumpster fire with the pitchers. Perdomo, almost a 7 ERA. The Shark, over a 7 ERA. And look at the total here, Jeff. 7.5 with these 2 dumpsters on the mound. Food for thought there.
Yeah, I kind of like the Padres in this game, to be honest. I'm not a DeMarja guy. I'm also not a Perdomo guy. But yeah, you mentioned the total. Both these guys, ERAs of 7, and the total is 7.5. Weird. I think the problem you have here with the total is I'm not sure that the Giants can hit this guy. I mean, they've been brutal against right-handed pitching. They have no power at all in this lineup. I mean, the slugging percentage is low. Home runs per 9 is low. They just don't have much power. And They don't hit right-handers well, which is very odd. You should be able to hit right-handers the best. At this price, I would probably take a flyer on the Padres. I don't really understand why Jeff Samardzija and the Giants are laying 167. If you're not aware of this, the Giants are 8-15 and the worst team in this division. That doesn't warrant laying 170 plus here or whatever it is. For me, if I had to play this game, which I probably won't, if I had to, I would lean with the San Diego Padres here.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at here. Another interesting thing. I know, Jeff, we put a lot of weight in bullpens. I know it's still early in the season, only 1 month deep. San Francisco has been pretty good in home games. Their bullpen, Jeff, 1.99 ERA as compared to the dumpster fire that San Diego is at 5.48 overall. So I'm just ripping down here on 5 dimes just to try to get a look at maybe what some of those first 5 innings indicators might be. It looks like you can actually get a half a run with the San Diego Padres first 5 innings, Jeff, very cheap at -110. Or if you like that dog angle, you can get +150 on the money line first 5 innings and completely take that bullpen out of it. Another interesting thing, Jeff, with the amount that Jeff Samardzija has struggled, I think I might like a little bit of value here. Over 1.5 runs, Jeff, for San Diego, very cheaply priced at -105 here.
Yeah, and I mean, you do have some guys up in that lineup with like Margot and Will Myers.
Yeah, one swing and a bat. You always like to say that, yes.
Yeah, the problem is, as a whole, they're just a bad offense. But I mean, they do hit some home runs, Donnie. I mean, they have 29 home runs, which is, it's not great, but it's not bad either. You look at the Giants, 13 home runs, which is among the worst in baseball. But yeah, Samardzija is bad. The one concern I would have, though, he is pretty good against the Padres. But this is a tough one here. I don't have a ton on it. Greetings from the Faroe Islands. How about that? Morrill, I would love to talk to you. I know a lot about the Faroe Islands, a beautiful group of islands, Donnie. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
No.
One destination I really want to get to, I want to get up to, Andorra and Faroe Islands and Norway and those kind of areas. Awesome. Good to have you, my friend. Appreciate you tuning in, and I would love to talk to you about
that worldwide audience, big man, right? How about that?
Yeah, that's really cool. I'd love to email. I'd love for you to email me, man. I'd love to talk with you about that. That's awesome. Good for you, and I'm glad to have you on. Appreciate it.
All right, next game on the rotation, Jeff. 9:15, 9:16. That's going to be Tampa Bay and
Toronto. That's what this show's all about, man.
Just information across the islands. Hey, maybe he knows something out there that we don't know, and watching in the middle of the night, you got to have some draw. If you're going to stay up and watch these two ugly faces over here talk, that's pretty cool.
I mean, we do a lot of shit in this business, but I got to tell you, shit like that is pretty cool. Someone from the Faroe Islands. Cody, what's up, my man? How you doing, Cody?
Yeah, everybody on the chat box, keep it going there. It's very lively. And again, we like to get to you all, but sometimes even myself and Jeff, there's so much information we try to get to. It's hard to look at the chat box live and do that, but we'll get to you all. We'll certainly give you shout outs as they come along. Back to baseball here. Snell versus Stroman, Jeff, Tampa Bay and Toronto. 40% of the tickets backing Tampa Bay early, but 92% of the money. Looks like we might have a little bit of a false flag indicator. -148, Jeff. It opens up as a favorite for Toronto. Get this. Down to -28, a 20-cent reduction at 5 dimes, despite 60% of the tickets coming in on Toronto. Let's circle our wagons on this one and take a deeper look a little bit later. Snell coming into the game, very pedestrian here, but certainly a yeoman's effort, keeping his ERA under 4 with Tampa Bay. Stroman's been very good, 3.10. The problem with Toronto is typically you're not getting enough run support and being backed, but here's where the rubber's going to meet the road and what you have to decide. I love Tampa Bay at home. You've seen me on all the shows talk about it. There's a lot of value with Tampa at home. The one problem here, Jeff, 2-8 on the road, and you're going to counterbalance that with Toronto, Jeff, at 2-7 on the road. Toronto, again, playing that angle like we looked at with St. Louis, a doubleheader on the road, losing both of those ball games, jumping on a plane and flying back home. That could play into it because, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, I don't think Tampa Bay played yesterday, so a rested crew versus a demoralized crew might be playing into that as well.
Yeah, they didn't play us today.
There you go.
I'm just, again, this is a pass for me, but the 2-8 on the road. I like Tampa Bay at home, but these are two teams I have no interest in betting. I'll let you have fun with this one, but this is the one game I just wrote Toronto, Tampa, pass. Good luck. Flip a coin.
As I like to say, Jeff, I might have to turn on the red light for that game. That's certainly going to be in play. So
I will say this,
we'll know a little bit later on that. Yeah.
Toronto is starting to play a little bit better, maybe. Yeah. You're getting Stroman at a nice price at home, which I'm not a big Blake Snell guy. I think he's still young and inexperienced. No opinion here. I'll pass.
Next up on the docket, Jeff, one game that I know me and you are very interested in, and two of the better teams in the American League are going to square off. Baltimore, New York Yankees, 9-17, 9-18 on the rotation. Gausman and Sabathia, almost a career rebirth and really needed for the New York Yankees, figuring they were going to have a younger team, somebody that was a little bit older, been around the corner, World Series champion. Looks like he's coming back into his own. 63% of the people are backing the Yankees here. -119. Did peel back a little bit here, Jeff, to -115, -113 across the board if you're taking a look at 5 dimes there with SBRodds.com. Gausman, not very good. A whip of over 2. That means he's putting at least 2 people on base per inning. 7.5 ERA. CC Sabathia, this isn't the Cleveland days. This isn't the Milwaukee Brewer days when he was pitching like every other day and not allowing a run. 2.70 to start the season for CC. That's fantastic. If we look at some of the other numbers, Baltimore 6-3 on the road. Definitely night owls here with an 11-3 clip. But let's not pass over the Yankees. 8-1 at home at Yankee Stadium. And Jeff, 8-1 versus teams with a winning record. That's impressive baseball.
Yeah, start out with CeCe. You know, the surprising thing about that ERA you mentioned, that was even after a bad outing in his last performance, last Friday night against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Look, as you guys know, I'm a Yankee fan. I love the way this team's played at home. The big thing that I've liked about them at home is, look, I know they're going to hit, but you look at that opponent average in Yankee Stadium, 194 this year. This bullpen is locked down. It's not very often they're going to blow it. They have one of, to me, the best bullpen in baseball. The problem I have with Baltimore here is, A, they're on the road, which I'm not a big fan of them, though they have played well on the road this year, and B, they're not hitting the ball right now. You look at this group over the last week, 212 average. I'm just not a fan of it. You have 2 good teams, two great bullpens, the second and third best ERAs in baseball, with 2 good pitchers on the hill. I know Gausman's got a lot of shit this year, and it's warranted. He's been bad. But at the end of the day, I think this is an overreaction total-wise to Gausman's issues. I think he's going to get it straight tonight. I know that's crazy, but he has good numbers in his career against the New York Yankees or against the Baltimore Orioles. I'm going to take a small flyer out in the under 9, Donnie, in this game.
Okay, yeah, I think that's interesting. I actually didn't look at that angle there, but yeah, it opened up at 9. Pretty much going to sit at 9 across the board. And you know, a lot of people, especially public bettors, see the Yankees offense and especially Baltimore of what they used to be able to do. That might be a little sneaky number because again, 9 is no easy number to get. You got to get a double-digit baseball game to hit that. So
right, and
something there.
And the concern you have here is, you know, these teams haven't necessarily won because of hitting. They've won games because of their ERA. I mean, these teams' ERAs have been really good, and the bullpens are locked down. So if you can get to the 6th or 7th inning with a 3-2 game, you're probably going to hit this total. Plus, if it's 4-4 late, and it's you end 5-4, it's a push. You get your money back. It's a good number to bet unders with.
Yep.
The one concern I do have though, it just looks like it looks too easy to me, honestly. That 9 looks concerning. I feel like this is Gausman's swan song for me. If he doesn't pitch well here, he will not be on my card for the rest of the year. Because
it's interesting here, Jeff, when you bring that up, you can't have, if you're an under better in this one, let's just say you can get Gausman and CC through the 5th inning at a 2-2 game. You're bringing in arguably 2 of the best bullpens in the American League. That's always nice when you're betting an under. So another thing for the listeners to think about, if they can just make it through, which CC's been good, and maybe Gausman snaps back a little bit, and you have maybe 4, even 5 runs by the 5th inning, those 2 bullpens there can shut it down. So definitely something to keep an eye on that one.
And Donnie, you look at this series, though. What a great series for the weekend. This is a really
I love it. Yeah, great weather too. Great weather.
Yeah. Really quick, Donnie, though, you look at CC in his career, 31 starts against. Actually, I'm sorry, not 31. More than 31. 41. Sorry, 41 starts against the Baltimore Orioles, a 3.19 ERA. Pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good if you don't know. So yeah, I would go under 9. I think this is a 1 run too high. I think this should be 8.
Yeah, no, we'll see what happens in that one, but that's certainly one to keep an eye on.
It is a short porch, Bobby. Look, you're always going to be concerned with unders in Yankee Stadium. The porch is
and American League in total because you have the full 9 backs there.
Yeah. Right, you have the DH. But for me, I think that all adds in here, and I think a lot of people look over here, but I'm going to go sharp. I'll go under.
I like it. Next up on the rotation, Jeff, 7:10 Eastern Standard Time start. Seattle and Cleveland on the rotation for you guys out there. It's 9:19 and 9:20. Miranda's going to tote the rock against Carrasco. 26% of the tickets coming in on Seattle. Obviously, a heavy betting ticket public favorite here on Cleveland. If we take a look at the money coming in, though, a little bit higher on Seattle, over 50%. That's registering currently. 190 the game opens up. It hasn't really changed too much. 190 still sitting at sportsbook.com. And a lot of times, Jeff, we get these numbers here, and I don't take that much inventory because, again, I'm not big on taking a dog that big just to take a flyer, and I certainly want to have no business with backing a 190. Some food for thought in this one. Carrasco's always been cracked up to be, supposedly. 1.65 ERA. Miranda, pedestrian, 4.35. But breakup, Jeff, the Seattle Mariners winning 3 of 4 on the road, even though they're still only 4 of 10 overall on the road. 4 and 5 Cleveland at home, so something has to give here. Do you trust in that Seattle has enough now mojo to continue to win on the road feeling good? Or does, the Indians just snap back, throw a gem out there, and start busting the baseball around?
Look, it just gets worse for the Seattle Mariners. I mean, they're 4-10 on the road. Now they got to go play Cleveland in yet another road series. So, yeah, a tough spot for the Indians or for the Seattle Mariners here. I'm not a big Miranda guy either. The concern I have for the Indians, can they hit lefties? I mean, they've struggled so far to hit lefties this year. Miranda, hard-throwing kid. I consider the team total over, but just because I'm not a big Miranda guy, and I think Seattle's among one of the worst bullpens in the major leagues. I mean, that group is just lost. I mean, they're really bad. I mean, you look at on the road, an ERA over 7. But Donnie, I'm going to go with the Mariners team total under here. I think Carrasco pitches well tonight. Obviously, we've talked about the Indians, a really good bullpen. You look at Carrasco, 28 innings, 4 games, an ERA under 2. He's been really good, striking out 27 over 28 innings, just 5 earned runs, and he's been good in his career. I like the team total under for Seattle here. This team, I'm not a big fan of this offense. They're only hitting 235 on the road. I think they're shut down tonight. I think they score maybe 2 or 3 runs, but I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, it looks like you can get that current line current at 5 dimes, under 3.5, minus 120 if you're interested in that. But Carrasco's been fantastic, and we all know, let's just say Jeff Carrasco gives him yeoman effort, 7 innings and 2 earned runs. That bullpen's coming in, and what you're looking for is actually a close game. So they're going to get their 7th inning man, 8th inning man, 9th inning man ready to go, and that certainly can bail you out. So another decent one to look at as long as Carrasco plays his part here.
Yeah, I disagree, Darren. That lineup is not sneaky, and they're not any good. Seattle sucks. I have no interest in them. The one concern I have, though, with the Cleveland Indians is, can they hit a lefty? But I would go team total under. I think Seattle sucks.
Yep, another game I'm going to take a look at that I have circled today on the docket, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9:21, 9:22 on the rotation. The Chicago White Sox with Pelfrey on the mound versus Boyd, the lefty from Detroit. 31% of the tickets are backing the Chicago White Sox, no surprise. However, early indicators on the money, 78% of the money is actually backing the Chicago White Sox here. The line opened up, let's see what we got here, at minus 136, has backpedaled to minus 125 at 5 dimes. If we take a look at some betting indicators as well for the game itself, Pelfrey's only had 1 start and only went 4 innings in that start. No surprise. Boyd's been 3-1 with a 3.86 ERA. Chicago White Sox, surprising to me, we talked about it on the roundtable, at 11-9 on the season, 6-1 versus left-handed pitching. We'll see what happens there, but I have this circled as maybe a false flag here on the Chicago White Sox, pending some lineups and see if we can get some numbers go our way. But those betting numbers right here have me leaning towards Pelfrey. Big man, what do you say about that?
I actually agree with you on that.
Ooh.
I actually, for once, I will say this. I love this spot other than Pelfrey. I mean, I wish he wasn't pitching here. Just at least give me like Covey. I would go with Covey here, honestly. And I also look at this line and I say to myself, am I really getting much back for Chicago? If I was getting 130 back or 140, if this was minus 160, I would definitely take Chicago. You got to be honest, Donnie. You look at them against lefties. They've been fantastic. 6-1, a 3.17 average, 7 runs a game. And you have the worst ERA in baseball in the Detroit Tigers. I actually agree with you on this. I think the White Sox are the play in this game.
Woo-hoo-hoo. It's going to be a good
And
night
look,
tonight.
I'll tell you what, they're playing well too. The White Sox. They have a great bullpen. If Pelfrey can just give you 5 innings,
Yes, correct.
2-3 runs, I'm not asking for you to be, a Dallas
you're 8
Keuchel here.
innings, 1 earned run. Yeah, exactly. Just keep them in there where they can stay within striking distance. Chicago bats are waking up a little bit. Again, they're playing decent baseball. You're right.
Listen, I've made it clear. I don't like Mike Pelfrey. I've said that time and time again. But I have to look at some of the positives here as opposed. I think they outweigh the negatives here. I think, again, the concern I have is you're just not getting that much back here. But there's no surprise. If I asked you who the best ERA in baseball was, you wouldn't say the Chicago White Sox. They've been really good, and they hit lefties. I like this spot, Donnie. I like where your head's at in this game.
There we go. That's what I like to see. Let's keep it moving here in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thurman, Tim Anderson is a very good player. I like what Abreu's been doing. Seems like he hits a double every game. Todd Father, he needs to wake up a little bit. But I've said it. I think this lineup's better than people think, and they are really good. Again, I'm spilling my water over here. They're better against lefties than anyone even knows.
Yeah, Frazier is waking up there. Good point there, Burns. I did have a play on the White Sox this week as a slight underdog. Treated me very well, 12-1. So maybe we'll hit that again. We'll see how that pops up. 923, 924, the rotation, Jeff. The Angels and the Texas Rangers. That's going to be Skaggs versus Martinez. 64% of the public early betting tickets are lining up on Texas. The line opened up at -115. Road favorite here, Jeff, for the Angels, and Skaggs has backpedaled slightly there with Pinnacle -110, but you're still showing some higher numbers there based on 5 dimes at -117. Skaggs 2-2 with a 4.44 ERA. Martinez only had 1 start, Jeff, 7 innings, 1 earned run. The Angels only 3-8 on the road. Texas not faring much better at home at 7-6. Another interesting indicator with not too much in weather tonight, but the wind is blowing in from right field here in Texas by about 12 to 13 miles an hour to start. But an interesting line having the Angels open up as a favorite here.
Yeah, but it is understandable. Nick Martinez, historically, has not been very good. He was good in his first game. Both these guys are good against the Royals this year, which isn't surprising. But, for Nick Martinez, it's not that hard to believe he shut down the Royals. This is a coin flip game to me, yet another coin flip for the Angels. Been playing well. I do think, though, Donnie, that Martinez will get lit up at some point. Wouldn't surprise me if it's tonight. We know that bullpen.
Him and Perez, to me, Jeff, almost the same identical pitcher in my mindset. They're either gas cannish or they're very serviceable.
Yeah, and as far as lineups are concerned, I would actually take the Angels lineup right now over Texas. I've said before, I don't think Texas is any good, and I think long-term they're going to struggle to be 500. Slightest of leans to the Angels, but I think this is more of a coin flip than anything.
Yeah, no doubt. 3 more games left on the docket. We'll speed through these there. We'll get to some NBA action. Yeah, go ahead, big man.
Odds couple fan. Can the fans understand how you're a Yankee fan and not a Phillies big man on campus?
Come on. Tell them, big man. God damn it, you're a Phillies fan.
Well, I will tell you, when I was younger, my grandfather, who passed away 6 or so years ago, he was like my father. My dad, when I was younger, my dad, Donnie, he's a great father, but he worked a lot. He was always trying to provide for us, and he wasn't a big sports fan. And on the weekends, I would go to my grandpa's house. We would watch Penn State on Saturdays. We would watch the Yankees. We would watch the Eagles. And growing up, he just kind of slammed the Yankees into my head. And, I remember I went to my first ever game was a Yankee game. And I went to the World Series back early on in my life when they were in there with Scott Brocious and that crew, Bernie Williams, Tito Martinez. I've just always loved the allure of the Yankees. I love I just love that jersey and the pinstripes. And I've always been a big Derek Jeter guy, Mariano Rivera. I don't know. It's just the allure for me. I like the group. I've always liked how they aren't scared to go out and just spend money. I like that as a group. And look, I'm not going to say I don't want the Phillies to do well. I do. I want them to do well. I really do. And I don't think there's much of a rooting interest, Donnie, unless you make the World Series. And when they made the World Series, I was conflicted. But I like the Yankees. I want them to do well. I enjoy them. But I'm not saying I don't want the Phillies to do well either. Sports for me is that way to make money, Donnie. You know that. Yep. Again, I'm not a rabid fan. The only team I'm a rabid fan for is this group right here. But I want the Yankees to do well, and I root for them. So
yeah, 3 more games left here on the docket. So Big Man had to give the explanation there on the Yankees. The good part about it is, Jeff, as you say, the Philadelphia Eagles always take precedent with me, even though I am a 4-for-4 guy in Philadelphia, like all the teams. And the best part about it is I'm glad we were able to do a show today, because had we went cornerback or traded back, I would have been retired and you would have been doing the show all by yourself. So it's good that we could still continue here.
God forbid. I wish they would have drafted a cornerback. Get your ass off here.
Next up on the rotation, Oakland and Houston. Pretty much the same pitchers coming at each other tonight in the way of ERAs. 29% backing Oakland here on the road, Jeff. Opened up at minus 150 in the favor of Houston, minus 153, minus 155s out there. If we take a look at Cotton, I know he started off very well, but has since backpedaled a little bit, close to a 5 ERA at 4.77. Morton comes in after 4 starts with 4.29. Oakland 3-6 on the road. Houston 7-4 at home. One little indicator here, 11-3 versus right-handed pitching are the Houston Astros. I know they have a little bit of maybe Springer and Altuve still dinged up and banged up here. It'd be nice to get those guys back in. Looks like a total opened up, Jeff, at 8.5, sticking there about the same, but no surprise that Houston is pulling down a heavy amount of tickets at 70%. However, Oakland's getting a little bit more money than Houston is, but it's very early in the day. It's an 8 o'clock game. That could change throughout the day, and especially, Jeff, if Springer and Altuve show up in that lineup, that might push that further and further away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you want to definitely do your homework on if they're playing or not. Altuve in this lineup is huge. I mean, I don't know if anyone's watched, last night. I mean, Houston, struggled to score runs without him. And even the night when Tomlin pitched, I mean, they should score runs there as well for Cleveland. Oakland, yeah, I mean, they've lost 4 in a row, only scored 8 runs in 4 games, and they're on the road with Cotton pitching. I don't have any. I'm not trying to lay 160 with Charlie Morton. I like Houston. I'll back them 4 to 5 days, but this is the one day I will stay off them. I'm not a Charlie Morton.
Yeah, I don't have much on this game either. Getting to the next game in the rotation, 927, 928, Jeff. Another one of your favorites, maybe a close family member here, with Kyle Gibson toting the mound versus Ian Kennedy.
He 33 would never be in my family. No fucking way.
Booted at it. 33% of the tickets are backing him. No surprise whatsoever that he's not getting that much. However, line opens up at minus 137 with Kansas City, and 5 times now showing a minus 125. Could the Sharps be back in Minnesota?
Bobby pointing out Altuve and Springer both out.
Yeah,
so
good point. Yep.
Thanks for that. Yeah. By the way, Bobby, I didn't forget the comment you made earlier about me being awful. By the way, I guess you're cool now. What was that all about, Bobby? Can you explain yourself on that? What were you up to with that comment? I didn't forget that, Bobby. Maybe you're just trying to be funny. Yeah, Donnie, I like the Royals in this spot. I mentioned, I know I might be crazy, but for me, the Royals are a bet-on team at home. I'll continue to bet on them. Donnie, you look at over the last 3 years, if you back the Kansas City Royals in every game, you're up over 30 units of profit. They're 5-3 at home this year. This team sucks, but they're 5-3 at home. I do got to tell you also, you can't go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
I was just even looking at the numbers. Like, it's sort of, I know Kansas City has not been able to hit the baseball. I get all that.
Right.
But a guy with 4 starts, not 1 start, not 2, not 3, 4 starts, has a 9 ERA going up with a guy who has a 2 ERA. It's just a major red flag in that one, why that line is spinning back for me. And sometimes you have to, as Jeff likes to say, lay down with fleas and you maybe can come up with a win. Yeah. Boy, if you're backing Gibson. And I did back Gibson in a game last week that I lost. I believe it was on Sunday, and he got destroyed.
And you lost. So that should,
I lost.
That should be the red flag that you shouldn't bet on this game then. Listen, Donnie, Gibson, 17 earned runs in 17 innings. I've mentioned to you about Ian Kennedy. I've been reading a ton of articles on Ian Kennedy from the Kansas City Star. I don't just make up people quotes in articles and say they made quotes when you didn't read any articles and they didn't. I actually read these articles and understand what these guys are all about. Ian Kennedy's in a very good place in Kansas City. He's mentioned he loves this ballpark. And you look at the adjustment, Donnie, he made in late July. He was giving up a ton of home runs. He was giving up 21 home runs in 17 starts last year. Over his last 14 starts, only gave up 7 home runs, an ERA under 3. His numbers at home, as far as against on the road, are absolutely crazy as far as the splits are concerned. His numbers are much better. I think this is a great spot for the Kansas City Royals. Buy low on a team like this. At home, I'm telling you, a lot of the time, they're just a much better team at home. And for me, I know they're bad, but they're a bet-on team for me at home. I still think dividend-wise, key Ian Kennedy tactics, as far as some of the elevating and his pitch, that was kind of why he was giving about how much. He's lowered where he's throwing the ball. It's paid dividends. I like this spot. I like fading Gibson as well here.
By the way, on the chat box, Bobby makes a comment. I said Jeff Samardzija's awful, Jeff. Not you, big man. Jeff, apologize to the man out there.
No, I did. Sorry, buddy. My bad. I'm abrasive. I've said that. I am abrasive. I do get, because, Donnie, for me, and I've talked to you about this, you do these little stunts all the time where you try to get me riled up. And I'm trying to not get riled up. I'm trying to not, because look, a lot of the comments, if you made it to me in person, I would slap your fucking head off. Because I don't like it. Don't make fun of me. I don't like it. I'll tell you,
again, just to feed into that, there'll be some times we'll get on. And case in point last night, where took my daughter to the Phillies game, so Jeff couldn't get a hold of me, sends me a text message, says we're going to go on twice tomorrow night. And I said, okay, that's fine. So I get home, and I was just like, 11:45 sounds a little bit late there. And my phone's already ringing, and he's angry. And I sort of that's my personality. I do get a little bit of a chuckle out of that. But.
No, because I never know when he's serious. He's always like, breaking balls and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, in Philly, that's kind of how people are here. Don't be you be no nonsense here, Philly. And Philly, you're straight shooters here. And we don't like people like Donnie that break balls all the time.
That's what Philly is. We break balls, man. We grew up in this environment. Come on.
When I was younger, people like you know what team they rooted for, Donnie?
They rooted for the Eagles. That's who they rooted
Dallas
for.
Cockroaches. That's who they rooted for. They're just a little rat kind of people that just rooted for the Cowboys to be annoying. Top 3 managers in your book. Wow.
I mean, one could say, Bruce Bochy, I've always liked. Obviously, the record speaks for itself. I can't stand the fact that he likes to bring in a new pitcher for every single guy after the bullpen comes in, seemingly 12 or 13 guys pitching there. Who else would you have in that? I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Madden. I love his quirkiness. I loved him in Tampa Bay because that's what it took, but I'm not the biggest fan of him in the Chicago Cubs. I know he won a World Series. That's all fine and great, but
I would probably say Frank Cona's up there for me.
Frank Cona's a great players manager. Strategically, you might have a little bit of error, but if you're going to go and take the Cleveland Indians and get to the World Series, and you're going to win World Series titles with the Boston Red Sox, you must be doing it right. We saw him here in Philadelphia and say, Tito's a bad manager. Well, when you give him like a $3 million payroll in the late 90s, what did you want him to do anyway in Philadelphia?
I'm going to jump off down and get my mic fixed here.
Go ahead. I'll carry this next game here up on the docket.
But real quick, there's not a lot of great managers left in baseball. Buck Showalter's a good manager. A couple others, Mike Scioscia, but not many. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Last game up on the docket here for us, folks, the Chicago Cubs with Jake Arrieta toting the mound versus Boston and Drew Pomeranz. Early betting indicators in this one, folks, only 26% of the tickets early coming in here, backing the Boston Red Sox. The line opened up a -110 with the Chicago Cubs, has since backpedaled just a little bit here, but Chicago, yep, you got it. 54% of the money coming in on the Chicago Cubs. A little bit of interesting points that I want to go over. 3-1 so far on the year for Jake Arrieta, 3.65 ERA, but leaking a little bit of oil here, Jeff. I'm talking about Jake Arrieta and the Cubs. 8 runs, 7 earned in his last 2 starts. Pomeranz after 3 starts. Nothing great, Jeff. Almost a 5 ERA sitting at about 4.6. The Cubs, however, hit left-handed pitching very well, 5-0, 8-4 on the road. The Sox, very good at home, 7-4, but just lost their last 2 at home. So an interesting one setting up as sort of a 50-50 type of line, but 75% of the tickets currently coming in, Jeff, on the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, too. I mean, Cubs have crushed left-handed pitching. Drew Pomeranz, Donnie, hasn't been very good in Boston. I don't know how their way to spin that. They've also been pathetic as a crew lately hitting the baseball. I've talked about Boston. Donnie, you want to know the problem with the Red Sox?
They can't hit right now.
They have no power. And why do they have no power, Donnie?
Big Poppy gone?
Amen. And you look, Donnie, at these numbers. Last in the major leagues in home runs per game. They're slugging very low, 367, which is among the worst in baseball. And they've grounded into double plays, the second most in baseball, in the whole league. So the power's just not there. They're slow. They haven't hit in games. And you look at over the last week, hitting 202. For me, it's Arrieta. The Cubs are just a team that no matter how much the public's on them, they're still a good bet. I'm not a big Pomerantz guy either. I don't like Boston right now. I would go with the Cubs in this game.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up our tickets. I don't have that much on that game, but I do see 6 spots that I like. I always want to wait until some of those starting lineups come out. So if you follow me on Twitter at RightSideVP, I'm going to be on a game today. There's no question about it. 3-0 so far this week. Took the day off yesterday. Didn't have a play. I'll be back in action tonight. But if we're looking at something on the show here that, again, didn't put too much of a, philosophy into it or studied up too much, but Jeff, I'm kind of leaning on that San Diego over 1.5 first 5 innings. I think that might be a good play. I'm going to research that as well. So if I were to be giving out a play on this one without putting too much into it, I think the San Diego over looks enticing for the first 5 innings versus Samardzija.
Yeah, a couple I'm looking at, Royals, Cubs, Yankees, Orioles under 9, D-backs, Rockies over 9. I like the Brewers, and I would do maybe a little 2-team parlay, Nationals, and who would I want to pair them with? The Dodgers, honestly. Something like that. I got to tell you, I think this card's pretty nice today.
I like the card. I really, really like the card. And I'll certainly
I think it's one of the best of the season. I'm going to have to give a couple out. I want to kind of stay with the whole not betting much in April, but this is a pretty damn good card.
It's almost May, Jeff. Don't worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
We're almost in May, buddy.
You're trying to kind of you're getting to the point now where things are really starting to kind of make sense in baseball. They're kind of falling into place a little bit. This is a business, gentlemen. There's no room for emotion. No reason to allow the internet to irritate you. Keep your mind on your money and let the discipline. Good point, Tyke Taka. That's a good point. I've actually gotten to that point, Donnie, where for me, at the end of the day, when I go to bed, nobody pays my bills. And that whole thing about me being full of knowledge, that's something I'm going to use. And I'm also going to use the old adage, Donnie, that at the end of the day, you look at, like, on Jimmy Kimmel, they have the mean tweets thing.
Yeah.
Still just something to laugh about. I give Jamil Hill a lot of credit, Donnie. People get on her left and right, even me. But she doesn't seem like it bothers her too much. She just keeps tweeting. At the end of the day, she's going home to a nice lot of money. She has a nice
check. That's what it is. Yep. That means you're doing something right.
She's doing what she loves. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right?
Yep, absolutely. Now let's get to what Bobby says. Big man, can we get to the NBA? 3 games on the docket tonight. Let's get started. Washington Wizards, Atlanta Hawks, tipping off 7:35, rotation 5-11, 5-12. Pinnacle opens up at -3 on this one, Jeff. Down to 2.5. Any thoughts on that game for the guys out there?
Yeah, I talked about it on the other day. The home team has won in every game in this series. The last game was the first time the home team did not cover. Washington with the opportunity to win this series. I got to tell you, I think this series goes 7. I really do. I think Atlanta will win and cover tonight. I just don't like what I've seen out of the bigs for the Washington Wizards. Again, guards have been good, but I don't like Morris. I don't like Gortat. They just haven't been tough enough for me. I think this one goes 7. I would go with with the Atlanta Hawks here at home. That's been a nice place to be for them in this series. I think they win, and I also think they cover. But for me, if you like this game, you might as well just maybe grab your balls and play the money line. That's what I would do.
Next up on the docket, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:09, 5:10. Celtics and Bulls. Will Rondo play? Will he won't play? Will it even matter? Line opens up at -1 for the Chicago Bulls. Peels in reverse to -3 for the Boston Celtics. So it looks like the majority of people out there, 74% of the tickets, 96% of the money. Reverse line movement going towards the Celtics. A lot of people think it's a wrap tonight, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers. I mean, this is the biggest bet game on the card as far as certain books are concerned. I mean, you look at the line. It opened pick'em. It's up to -3 for the Celtics. Listen, I said it. I mean, I thought the last game was a lock. I love that play on the Celtics, and it ended up coming in. But in this game, look, I think Boston will win. Do I want to get involved with it? No. I think the whole world's on the Celtics. The problem is I just don't think the Bulls are very good without Rajon Rondo, which is surprising. But this series changed completely. I think the Bulls are cooked. I think they will lose tonight. Wouldn't surprise me to see them get crushed here. But I think there's a better bet on the board in the NBA tonight. So I will abstain from this one, but Celtics should win the game.
All right, let's get to that next one that is on the board that you're talking about, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll also be on with the Late Night of Campus during this show. Clippers and Jazz, is it closeout time? -5.5 we open up, sitting at 5.5. Chris actually moved that line, Jeff, to 6. 64% of the tickets, Jazz. 65% of the money, Jazz. Looks like the Jazz might close them out tonight, huh?
I think they do. I think the Clippers are cooked, as are the Bulls. I think when Blake Griffin went out, this series was over because I don't think that – look, DeAndre Jordan's a nice player, but he is a liability at the free throw line. It's amazing to me that you can't hit 50%. You just hit that 1 out of 2. This guy shoots 40% from the line. And with Gobert back, I just don't think it's a good matchup for the LA Clippers. I think they've read the clippings. I think they've read that it's just time to blow this up. It's just not working. I don't think the Clippers are very good without Blake Griffin. Chris Paul's a nice player and everything, but I think, you know where I think he goes, Donnie?
Where?
The Milwaukee Bucks. I think they have a nice group there, nice young group. He can't win and I think Scott Van Pelt made a great point last night about that Bucks team. They have a nice stadium there, a nice group to be excited about. I could see them prying away Chris Paul maybe. Utah's been fantastic at home this year. They've won and covered 3 of 5. They've looked good in this series against the spread, and their defense is fantastic. I think they win by double digits in this game. I think this one is like a 101-91 type of game. I think they close it out in front of their home fans and get prepared for a second round series against the Golden State Warriors. Clippers are cooked, if you ask me.
There you go. That'll wrap up the NBA. Big man, I know we have some boxing that we're going to talk about eventually. Did you want to go over it here on this show, or you want to stick that to the right side of campus tomorrow when we get on at 12:30 on Saturday?
We're actually going to talk about it tonight, Donnie, quickly with Andreas Hale. He's going to join us from Yahoo Sports. He's going to come on. We're going to talk about the Klitschko-Anthony Joshua fight, which very intriguing fight. I know the heavyweight group has not gotten the news clippings that it once did, but I'll tell you right now, Anthony Joshua is a guy that if you are intrigued by boxing, you like boxing, he's a guy you need to watch. He's knocked out a ton of people. He's undefeated, and the old guard against the kind of the new school. Klitschko, a tough fighter, but and this is a bettable fight, Donnie. There's bettable ways to look at this fight, and I want to kind of educate the group, and Andreas will as well, on just kind of how you can bet boxing. If you have the right books, there's a lot of value in boxing if you can find the right bets to make. So join us tonight. We'll do a small segment at the end of the show, and we will have him on a little bit frequently as far as some of the big fights coming up. This is fight season, Donnie, May, April, June. So we're going to get to plenty. So, yeah, join us tonight, and we'll have a little breakdown on that. As far as soccer, people are asking me about soccer today. I got to tell you, there's not much as far as on the card today. Most of the matches are tomorrow. Juventus is playing today, Donnie, my squad. They have a tough game today, though, and the Champions League's next week, so that's always interesting. You're getting one of the best teams in the world, though, at a nice price. They've beaten this Atlanta team, Donnie, 24 out of 28 times, but it's a different Atlanta team, but it's also a different Juventus team. I still think at that price, Juventus is an auto bet every time. There is also someone talking about Schalke and Leverkusen. I have one play in the Bundesliga this week, and it's not that game. I don't have anything on it. For me, football today is going to be pretty – I had a tough day yesterday, so for me, football is going to be kind of low volume today. I do want to look at one thing, Donnie, before we wrap the show up today. There is one game that if I were going to bet, it would be this one. It's a small stake for me. It'll probably just be a half-unit play. La Liga, Villarreal, and Sporting Gijon. Villarreal is a very good defensive team. Other than Atletico Madrid, they're the best defensive team in La Liga. They don't give up many goals. Gijon struggles to score at times as well. I think this is at most a 1-1 type of game. I could see it 1-0. That's it. I could even see scoreless. So I would go under 2.5 goals here at plus 148. I think that's pretty good. If you want to stay safe, and where I'm going to go, I'm going to just go under 3, minus 107. We need 4 goals to beat us. I just don't see 4 goals in this game. So for me, I'm going to go under 3 at -107 in Villarreal and Gijon.
There you go. Give you some soccer action to delve into. I'll certainly have a red light special out a little bit later in the day on Twitter. But if you do like content and some action, tune in tonight to the Late Night on Campus because we have rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. We're going to have live baseball, live hockey, live NBA. We're going to cover everything. So if anybody's out there on a Friday night, not taking the girl out, not taking the wife out, not giving a damn about that, and you want to tune in tonight, me and Jeff are going to have a lot of fun, and there's going to be no restrictions on the show tonight. We'll stay on till 1 a.m. if we have to cover everything that we're going to go over in the draft. A lot of fun, a lot of looking forward to for my Philadelphia Eagles, see if we can come up with maybe a Dalvin Cook, a good cornerback here in the 2nd and 3rd round. Big man, want to leave with anything before we get out of here, brother?
Yeah, I've got a lot of shit from some of these people that are soccer purists about way to pronunciate names. I'm from Philadelphia. Certain things don't come out the way they should. I'm aware that it's Atalanta. I watch Serie A. I've watched it since I was a kid. By the way, Donnie, we have a lot of talk in this chat box about take Juve, both teams to score. Juventus has not allowed a goal since April 5th. So just remember that. They're the best defense in the world. I'll give anyone a bet off the record that they will not score today, Atlanta. For me, though, yes, I'm excited, Donnie, about tonight. I'm going to be putting out some an article here in the next 2 hours or so of I'm going to give you every team, and I'm going to tell you the player they need to draft in the 2nd to 5th round. So I want to make you guys aware of that. Look out for that. It'll be on SBR forum, sportsbookreview.com. Getting a little bit of my Charles Dickens going on, Donnie. I'm writing a little bit. So look out for that. People like draft talk. So I'll give you a player your team should draft in the 2nd to 5th round. So look out for that a little bit later.